Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome to another week of wild and wacky chit chats with the twins. I am Krista.
And I am Kara.
And we are doing a new 30-day challenge that has really kind of rocked my world personally, and I'm sure everybody else's that is doing it with us. And what it is who am I fighting for or against that if I didn't have to fight for or against them would give me all of me. And it has just opened so many more doors and brought up so much awareness of where I have been functioning from. It's like we're in this little rat race and we're all fighting against each other and each thing, or fighting for, like, even like what that means, like fighting for something is like fighting for a cause of something, you know, like when you feel like really powerful and emotional towards a certain thing, a certain cause or event or whatever it might be, and you give it so much of your attention that even when bits and pieces and parts of it aren't really like in line with how, like, with your points of views or what you think is right or wrong or whatever, you know, like when it goes away from what you feel is right in your heart, you will cover that little piece of you up because you have given so much of yourself to that thing. So in essence, you're killing a little part of yourself every time you are aligning and agreeing with something and fighting for it, the same as fighting against someone or something. And like for me lately, it's really been my kids that I've been fighting against a lot lately, and the wind outside, actually. Winds of change. And so just something to really think about, like every time you are standing up for something or fighting against something, you're distracting yourself. You're distracting yourself from what it is that you really want. Like, you don't even see that or think about it. It's just so buried deep. Good morning, Rita.
Good morning, Rita.
Hugs and love and light to you as
How
well.
are you doing? I really thought about you when we did the foundation class this past weekend.
Kara and I just did another foundation class with Glenise Hughes, which was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Totally different doing it online than doing it in person, for sure. You're all good. Oh, that's awesome to see you here. Is it windy there? It's been like windy here for days and days and days. And how does it get any better than that? And I really like got outside and it was awesome to just be out in the wind, cutting the grass, you know. I was like, what if you didn't have to look at it as a bad thing, right?
Mm-hmm. And yes, she is amazing. Totally amazing.
Oh, yeah. Blowing away the trash.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's what I like to look like, a big old smudge job, and getting rid of all the points of views, all the rubbish and all the stuff that we don't need to hang on to anymore, that we just think we have to.
Oh, good job, Crystal. You're embracing the wind outside. Excellent.
We were gonna do it outside, but it was too distracting, and it really wasn't worth it at this point. So Here we are inside. So I wanted to just read about action and reaction again from this
Hi, Miss Mary
lovely
Lynn.
Living Beyond Distractions. Hey, Mary Lynn. And this call participant says, I have implants in reaction to my husband. Every time he criticizes me, I go to anger. I get angry and I feel insecure. And it seems like every time I get angry, I get heavy metal poisoning. First of all, Gary says,
Hi, Mandy.
Hey, Mandy. If your husband is telling you that you are a pathetic pile of shit, is that the truth or is that a lie? And the call participant says, it's a lie, but, and Gary cuts this person off and says, when somebody tells you something that is not true about you, you will tend to get angry. But instead of reacting with anger, ask some questions. So, and like when you ask these questions, not doing it from a place of anger, but like, what did he mean by that? Like a curious question. What did he mean by that? And outside the wind will blow everything and anything away with no point of view, right?
That's right. So if you need, go stand outside.
Totally. So the questions, what did he mean by that? Like if someone says something to you that is like hurtful or whatever that triggers that anger in you, what did they mean by that? Like really, I wonder what they meant by that. And not like, what did they mean by that? Oh, there's a nice picture there.
Looks like you're smelling with the flower.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Stand outside and the wind will blow everything away. Yeah, it feels good, hey? So asking these questions, what part of that, with this husband getting mad, what part of that is loving and caring? And just not looking for an answer, but just simply like just letting that energy sit with you and being really curious about it. And what part of that is just to be mean to me? And this is the place of not going to anger as a reaction. Asking a question is going to the place of potency and power. The ultimate potency and power is question, choice, contribution, and possibility. And then Dane says, if you do what Gary is suggesting, you will be in action, not in reaction. This will be true even if what your husband says to you is designed to get you to react. You won't be reacting, you will be acting. When you have the dynamic you're describing with somebody, they do things to push your buttons. They're trying to get you to react, and you do react, and the situation goes on the same way for years. Like, what a gift even being able to see that. Like, I think of with my kids and, like, even with people at work and, like, you know, any relationship where there, like, always seems to be, like, this tug of war between, you know, like, it's like, if you keep reacting the same way, you're always reacting.
It's the definition of insanity.
Exactly. And it proves that they are right. So when you change that, when you come out of the reaction and go into action, the other person doesn't get to use that to prove they are right anymore. They may do even more to get you to react, but when you stop reacting, you are no longer at the effect of that situation. And it's that simple, right?
It's just that simple.
It's just that simple. All the anger, all the distractor implants creating this. Will you destroy and uncreate all that times a gazillion? Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, POC, all name shorts, boys and beyonds. Think it to yourself. You don't have to say it out loud. Notice how after you say it 2 or 3 times, you suddenly don't have the reaction. And the heavy metal, this lady got heavy metal poisoning every time. Like, that's how powerful we are. You know, like when we do react like that, it's actually hurting our body, and our body is like then coming down with many different things like that stress can cause, like stomach ulcers, headaches, fatigue, like all these things that show up in our body because we're just reacting to things all the time.
We are truly powerful beings.
Exactly.
Truly powerful.
Yeah, so again, it goes back to just always being mindful of where your thoughts are, or just how like the energy you're sitting in. It's like when it feels heavy, you really got to start pulling out some tools and just asking questions like, what is this heaviness? Like, what am I like hiding from myself that I'm not willing to acknowledge here? You know, that if I was willing to acknowledge it, I might just be able to let it go.
It's neat because you don't have to know what it is like specifically, but if you're sitting just with that energy and you're like, what is this? That's what we learned in foundation. Like, I never quite did it like that before. It's like getting out of your head and being present with the energy. What is this? What is this? What is this? And then you realize that none of it was yours anyway, and you can just let it go. And it's like, Oh my god! Like, that isn't mine.
And I loved how Glenise
awesome.
said, like, by asking, what is this? Like, instead of, I don't, like, most of you will probably know, like, I've heard Karen and I say, who does this belong to? Because 99% of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions do not belong to us. But if you just go straight to that, then you're not aware, like, you're not aware of what's going on. Like Kara said, not specifically that thing, but just that there is something. So by just asking, what is this, you might get an awareness of something, and you're just like, oh, that's what that's been all along? Well, now who does that belong to, you know? 'Cause so much of it is stuff that we've, like, grown up with, and, like, the points of views of other people and society. And if you don't acknowledge what it is, and that it maybe doesn't even belong to, then you can't change it, you know? And I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. Because, you know, like, I just was really wanting to quickly, like, get rid of it, like, push it away and be like, this ain't mine, you know? There's, like, just that one step more to it where it's like, well, what is this? What is this? Like, this heaviness or this, you know, feeling of yuck and stuck and all of that. And it's really fun to, like, start using these tools and being like, man, we make our lives so fucking hard, and it doesn't have to be. And the other tool that I've really been digging again is interesting point of view. And what I was just reading again from our Access stuff is our point of view creates our reality, not the other way around. Our reality doesn't create our point of view. So if we aren't aware, again, like, more on, like, acknowledging what is this, it's like, if we're not willing to acknowledge that it is just our point of view.
And so we could do a little practice, like, think of something lately, something, someone, an event, whatever it is, something that's been playing in the back of your mind that, like, you can't seem to get rid of, and bring it into your awareness now.
And it might feel uncomfortable.
And intensify it. Bigger, and be present with that energy. And then we'll just start asking or saying or whatever, interesting point of view, I have this point of view.
And you can say it with Kara, or you can just listen and just feel the energy of it.
If you want, you can put the energy, like, in front of you, whatever it is. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Interesting point of view, I have this point of view. Interesting point of view, they have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have the point of view that they have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have the point of view that they have that point of view. Everything that is times a gazillion, I destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, all night shorts, boys and beyond. And, like, just with anything, like, yeah, try that. Like, if you want to put it in front of you to make it something, and then intensify it, and then just keep saying that until the energy dissipates. And it's actually, yesterday was the first day that I ever really played with that tool where it worked because I used to always just do it once. I'm like, well, this tool's broken, it doesn't work. Like, it's whatever. And, you know, but then, yeah, in Glenise's class, it's like, if you use a tool once and, like, you and then think that's it doesn't work, then it's not going to work. But if you keep doing it over and over and over again, because we got all sorts of points of view and all sorts of stuff backing up those points of view, right? So if you just keep saying them over and over again, it's pretty neat.
It is. And what you usually come to realize is that none of it matters.
No.
Like, none of it matters. And if your point of view is about someone else, like, and you're mad at someone else, or you're, like, pointing fingers at someone else because they're pointing fingers at you, it's like, none of that is real.
Yeah,
like,
nothing's personal
of
ever.
that is real. Like, oh, it's such a gift. Like, it's such a freedom to just be like, it doesn't matter. It just truly doesn't matter. What would I like to choose? Because no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter who you try to be or who you try to impress, at the end of the day, all that matters is what you think of you and what you want for you. Like, because people are gonna think what they're thinking anyways. So it's like, what do I want? You know, like, what energy do you want? And getting the sense of that energy of the life you want, and not trying to specifically, like, figure out what that's gonna look like. Like, I just talked with Izzy this morning, and she was just like hoping that we were gonna go to Lovering Lake today, and I was like, what if we didn't have to decide what exactly today would look like? What if we could just ask for, like, fun and excitement and adventure, whatever that looked like? Because I was like, when we ask for something in specific, like, I want to go to Lovering Lake, I want this, then the universe has no point of view, and it's like, okay, I'll make that happen if that's what you want. But if instead you're just like, I want, like, fun and adventure, then all sorts of doors open up, and there's all sorts of possibilities waiting out there that may be way greater than what you're asking for.
And when you're very specific too, if that doesn't happen, then you go into a wrongness of you.
Exactly.
Well, this was supposed to happen, and
exactly.
It didn't. So yeah, it's craziness.
And, like, it's okay to ask for specific things, but for them to, if you expect them to show up a certain way, then you're, like, abolishing all other possibilities that could have been way easier that showed up. Like, when you're asking for money for something, it's like, well, what if you didn't have to ask for that money? What if it could have shown up in a different way? Like, someone gifted you something, you know, or a million different possibilities. Like, so if you find yourself focusing on, like, trying to control how something shows up, it's like, why don't you just make it even one step simpler and just be like, I'm having that.
Anything you try to control has control of you. That was another thing Glennie said. Like, even your bank account, your job.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, anything you are trying to control has control of you.
Yeah, that one was
That one was a touche.
Yeah. Totally. So, who am I today, and what grand and glorious adventures may come my way without knowing how that's going to look, how it's going to show up? It's just like, what if you could let go of that need to control and let the universe show you how? Because we really are, like, just running around in circles, trying to get things right, trying to make things work a certain way, trying ourselves to death.
And not to go into judgment of you either, because that is basically what this reality says to do. You must have a plan. You must have a plan.
Yeah.
A, B, C, and D. And it's like, yeah, that's what's been really neat about what's been coming into both our awareness with all the tools of access consciousness. It's like, what if you could ask for the energy of what you want your life to be, and then, like, do it backwards, basically. Go forward without a plan and let the universe deliver to you the best scenario, because we don't know. And it's a real practice, because we have been trained to do the opposite of that. So exactly, it's definitely a practice to trust. A practice of trusting.
Oh, it really is. And once you just start doing it and seeing results, though,
that's when it's like, okay, so that went that way when I didn't try to control the situation. So
because like, when you try to control someone or something, it's like a repetitive cycle, you know. It never changes, and you keep wondering why it doesn't. Like, man, sometimes you feel like a broken record, just banging your head against the wall and just like, when will I get it, you know? And so it really is not about beating yourself up from wherever you have come from up until this point. It's just a matter of being like, hey, is this working? Yes or no? Is this creating the future I desire? Yes or no? And if it's not, well, what else is possible? Like, really getting curious and really asking, like, what else is possible? And then just sitting with that energy and not
and
trying to
making
figure it out.
fun too, like really following the magical energy trail of what you'd like your life to be. It's like, I have no idea, but like, let's just like ask for a certain energy today, pull it in, and then see where it takes you and make it a fun thing instead of like, I have to carry the cross with me type thing.
Oh, like we all do. Because we are really, like, it's just the way it's always been. That's how people function. That's just the way it is, you know? Everyone's got to do what everyone else is doing and not hurt anybody else's feelings and not go, like, against what the norm is and against what reality is, or you might not fit in. And it's like, well, what if none of that even mattered?
Mm-hmm.
So, interesting point of view. I have that point of view. Interesting point of view. I have that point of view. Interesting point of view. You have that point of view. Interesting point of view. I have that point of view. That you have that point of view. That they have that point of view. That I have that point of view.
It's a fun tool to play with once you realize it's not actually broken. I tried it once and it didn't work. It's broken.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, if anyone is up for a real adventure and really like going, really like having stuff show up in your life, that basically a question that is really going to start calling you on a lot of things, do feel free to join Kara and I in this 30-day challenge, because like even when we came up with that question, I was like, I love that, and I do love that question. I just didn't realize the power that was behind it, and I was just like, oh, and I didn't, not even the power, because it's like not giving it more power than me. It's just a different way of looking at. It's really helping me look at where I have been functioning from is always in a place of trying, like trying instead of just being. You know, like who or what am I fighting for or against?
Or proving, right?
Or proving, yeah. Just always like out there, you know, always fighting everything out there instead of just being within and asking yourself what it is that you truly want and being okay with that, even if it's not what anyone else wants.
Oh,
you know?
I think I see Miss Laverne on here.
Good morning, Laverne.
Laverne, are you out at the lake? I feel like I saw a post of yours that said something about the lake.
22 after. So, yeah, lots of really interesting things to just bring to your awareness. And yeah, I've just noticed that I've been using a lot of tools lately because I could really easily bail ship here and just like swim back to that old place that was a lot more comfortable but a lot more miserable. And it's like, yeah, sometimes you gotta like just face some stuff that you have not been willing to face because you thought it was a wrongness about
and it's
you.
so freeing, and
it's
like it's
so
so
freeing.
ridiculously silly actually, because once you do acknowledge where you've been functioning from, then you can change something. But until you do, it's always going to be somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
Which it never is.
Which it never is.
And it's pretty entertaining.
But yeah, as soon as you can acknowledge that everything is because of what you have chosen, consciously or unconsciously, nothing can change.
And then it's like, wow, if I created that, what can I create that's actually in my favor?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That gives me shivers because anything is truly possible. We've just become so good at being like these trained little kitty cats, you know, where we just have to do things because we were told we had to do things, and we don't even know who told us that we had to do them. But
They said.
And so it's like a whole freedom that awaits all of us if we are willing to do something different than we've ever done before.
Yes.
So would you be willing? Would you be willing to go beyond your comfort zone and choose something different? And have the courage to acknowledge where you have been functioning from, and that's not a wrongness, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing right about it. That's just where you've been functioning from, and is it still working for you?
Yeah, that's what I loved. Another thing that we talked about, it's like trying to go into the why. Why did I choose this? Why did that happen? It's like anytime you try to figure something out, you have to go into that energy, and then you just get stuck there. If you can just be like, wow, I chose a lot of different things, and maybe they worked for me at the time, maybe they didn't even, but now, like, all I gotta do is make a new choice.
Exactly.
And you can just let that go.
And would you be where you are today
Yeah.
had not all those things happen?
Yes.
You know, even if they looked and felt ugly in the time, would you be the person you are today if you hadn't gone through all that? Does it mean you couldn't have chose different? Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't actually matter. Now what will you choose with this awareness?
And another thing we learned was the word understand. So if you try to understand something that happened, even like yourself, your own behaviors, or somebody else's, you have to stand under that energy, making yourself less. And I was like, mind blown.
Totally. That was a big one for me too.
It's like, don't use that word anymore.
Stop trying to understand anything. Just choose. Just choose. Get some awareness.
But I need to understand. I need to stand under this crap. Like, it's like, oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, that's a light one. Actually, love it.
That was a pretty big, mind-blowing thing.
Well, everyone, it's been another good week here, and what can be created today?
Yeah, so go have fun with your day. Play with the energies. Go stand outside if you want. Let the wind blow.
Like Marilyn
everything
said.
over you.
Yeah.
Like Marilyn said, yes. And
have fun.
We'll see you guys again.
Bye-bye.
Bye.